And we're back with the Pop Culture Cosmos. My name is Gerald Glassford from Pop Culture Cosmos and Game Source. We truly appreciate everyone out there listening to us on the Podcast Radio Network each and every Monday night, 10:30 Eastern, 7:30 p.m. Pacific, or catch us on any one of our numerous downloadable channels. Well, I did say I was going to get, another awesome chance to go ahead and talk wrestling because WrestleMania 33 has just ended. And, it's the talk of pop culture right now. And who better to talk about it with me than a good friend that's come back to us for a little bit here. He was with us before with Game Source, and we are so glad to have him stop by again because who would know better about, what's going on with, the WWE and his thoughts on the WrestleMania 33 as a whole. He is the executive producer of PHX Wrestling, the ring announcer, also as well for the United Wrestling Network, the play-by-play commentary and ring announcer for the Arizona Wrestling Federation. He is one of the major voices for professional wrestling on the West Coast. It is Joe Vernola. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing well. That list of credentials sounds much more impressive when it's coming from someone else. Thank you very much. But I'm doing pretty well. What a show. And plenty of people out there that know a bit more about wrestling than I do, but I will do my best here.
I'm not sure about that. On the West Coast, can't find many more individuals out there that know more than you, my friend, and that are also willing to share their thoughts and deeds. So it is truly appreciated that you stopped by the show. If you didn't get a chance to check out WrestleMania 33 live on the WWE Network, it was a very, very strong card from top to bottom. Your first off, your thoughts on the card as a collective whole. And I know the first thing that's going to come out, with some of maybe the general fan reaction is that it maybe lasted a little bit too long, especially going in. People were thinking this was going to be a 6-hour televised event in the first place. Your thoughts on maybe all the matches and maybe next time maybe condensing it out, because they've done that before where they've had WrestleManias that have been longer and then maybe as a reaction to that maybe shorten them up. Do you see that possibly happening in the future going forward?
I really hope that they don't condense the card. I mean, yes, 7 hours is quite an undertaking, but they're only asking for 7 hours once a year. I mean, yeah, the Royal Rumble was about 5.5, 6 hours this year. SummerSlam, you can probably look at being a pretty lengthy amount of time, but it's not like they're asking us to do 7 hours, 12 times a year or anything like that. And I don't think that they should condense the card by any means. I also think that why it was so long this year was they had to give the Undertaker the appropriate amount of time, which you never cut anything short from that segment. But it did seem like it was dragging in places, but overall it didn't really feel like, oh geez, I've been sitting here for 7 hours until about 8:45, 8:50 or so on the West Coast, till 11:45, 11:50 for you East Coasters, and I'm not even going to get into the rest of the world, but it was like, oh geez, I've been sitting here. And I think I made the comment with a couple of my friends going back to the Game Source days. I think I won an Xbox Live achievement for this, but just sat through 7 hours of wrestling. But
well, I was talking to the other day, my interview with the guys from the Wrestling Podcast About Nothing, Mike Crockett and the Kingpin, Brian Malonis. We were talking about live streaming, how like a video gamer goes 24 hours at a time. We were talking about doing the same thing here for somebody that's at the Orlando Stadium right there. So
right.
I just wanted to get to the point, make sure that the reason why I say that, because sometimes when you have a match that long, a card that long, there are matches that are good matches, but because the crowd itself is so tired, they do not obviously give the reactions that they would normally have had they been earlier in the card, and then what we see on television gets affected by it as well. Do you concur with that type of thought process, Eric?
I concur with the thought process. I don't think it happened here. Not as much as some other people might think, but I'm also half full kind of guy or I've been trying to be a half full kind of guy where I try to see the positive in things. I thought it was paced very well. It did drag in a couple spots. I know a couple of my friends and some other people thought some matches ran a little long. I didn't necessarily agree with them that those matches ran long. I thought it was well paced. The Pitbull concert was put in the perfect spot to whereas that it wasn't going the everything that happened in the Triple H Rollins match wasn't going to affect what happened in the match after it, because they had that 10 minutes of Pitbull to calm down, get ready for the next match, not be so worked or anything. I think they knew big a task they were asking from what is normally a pretty casual audience at WrestleMania. It's your mainstream audience, it's your casual audience, it's people that aren't normally watching every show every year, which is why the packages are a little lengthier and you tell a little bit more of the backstory than a normal package during, like, say, Fastlane or something. But I agree with the thinking. I don't necessarily agree that it happened this time. I thought that they did a pretty good job of pacing it because, like I said, I didn't really realize that I was sitting there for 7 hours until about 6.5 hours into it.
Oh, no, and that's good. That's obviously what the goal should be when you're trying to undertake such a sorry for the pun, undertake such a card such as this. Now, I want to tell everybody out there, if you didn't get a chance to check it out, some of the highlights indeed. Let's start off with obviously the thing that everybody's going to be talking about the most is that it looks like from all appearances that Undertaker is going to be retiring from from obviously because he for the way the appearances be at the end of the show. He did lose his match with Roman Reigns. The Hardy Boys, which have been heavily rumored to come over to the WWE from the Ring of Honor and also Impact Wrestling, their previous stops. That has been something that looks like it was going to materialize somewhere in the near future, and that happened starting this evening as they not only debuted on the card itself, but also as well they captured the tag team titles for the Raw side. Kevin Owens, in a battle of Canadians over the United States belt, did defeat Chris Jericho. And also another big match that was definitely one of the main drawing points of the individual card itself. Well, the big man Brock Lesnar did defeat Bill Goldberg for the Universal Championship. All that said and done, and there's, obviously there was another, quite a few matches as well. What are your thoughts that you want to pinpoint on, and what are some of the target things that you want to talk about as far as what stuck out to you the most at WrestleMania 33?
The Fatal 4-Way for the Raw Women's Championship, I thought for at least the first half of the card, like let's call it the day half of the day portion of the show. The women's 4-way, Becky Lynch, or not Becky Lynch, excuse me, Bayley, Charlotte, Nia Jackson, Sasha Banks. I thought probably best match of the first half of the show. All four women really brought it there. They're really trying to put a focus on that, which obviously with the announcement of the tournament this week and the work they've been doing with that division the last couple of years, they're really going to focus on it again here. It was probably a couple years ago the 6-woman match may have been cut, and it wasn't cut this year, which I think is a huge step in the right direction, especially for that division and the mindset that they're trying to get there, and putting them on an equal pedestal, which they should be on. There's no reason, especially when they're putting on matches like they have been. And both women's matches tonight were really solid. I thought everyone but Bailey was going to win the women's title match, and that might just be because I was a bit of an idiot, but I didn't expect Bailey to win, so that was a pleasant surprise. I like that normally those matches may have been trimmed down or cut entirely. They at least weren't cut entirely. The biggest thing coming away from the show, other than obviously The Undertaker calling it a career, and when you leave your hat, your jacket, your gloves, everything in the ring, there's no two ways about it. Taker's done. He did everything short of taking his boots off and leaving them in the ring, which is normally how you say, and that's obviously going to be the biggest thing going away from it. You're not going to be focusing on the Universal title as much right now because Lesnar is obviously part-time, but I'm sure they're going to try to set up Roman Lesnar because Rome just established it as his yard, but he doesn't have the title. So that it's the biggest thing for me coming away was the fact that they really are putting a lot of effort and attention into the women's superstar division. I was getting texts from a couple of my Navy buddies during the show, like, they're going to cut this women's match, man. They're going to cut this women's match. I'm like, nah, dude, they're not going to cut it. They're not. Trust me. But it just, the fact that they're paying attention to it. I'm being really long-winded now. I apologize. But that was my biggest takeaway was, damn, they're girls go, and they're not cutting them out when normally they would. Obviously, the Cena proposal is going to be a huge takeaway, especially with the mainstream audience from E and everybody's girlfriend watching Total Divas, or wives or girlfriends watching Total. Oh, wow, John Cena finally proved that. That's going to get that would probably be the hugest is the mainstream attention that this show is going to get because of the Cena proposal, because a guy that's been doing it for 25, 27, 30 years now in The Undertaker is wrapping it up. Even people that aren't wrestling fans right now, they were wrestling fans 15, 20, however many years ago, and they know The Undertaker, and it's going to be, oh, wow, he was still wrestling, and then damn, he's retired. That would be the biggest takeaway. The pre-show was on USA. It was on basic friggin' cable. Now, granted, this is something that has happened before with Sunday Night Heat and everything else, but for it to be on USA, on WrestleMania Sunday, live, it was just a huge takeaway. The mainstream attention. There's so many things to take away from this show.
And for hardcore fans, obviously the entrance of the Hardys being there maybe a little bit sooner than a lot of people had suggested, even though they had not taken any real dates beyond April, the end of April. Mm-hmm. They still hinted in radio interviews this week and press interviews that they're actually going to be still stay on the independent scene for at least the short term. So look, and in fact, I believe Brother Nero had said something about being through the summer. So obviously they were playing everybody, and ended up being, they not only made a great debut, but obviously from the chorus of people that had chanted delete, 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 that they are definitely going to be something that at least short term will be a nice change of pace for WWE's fans out there.
Oh, definitely. And I mean, I know this is a slightly different case, but they let Team DIY keep all their indie bookings. Like Gargano and Ciampa were working indie shows for nearly a year after they debuted at the Dusty Classic or whenever it was they had their debut. I'm sure I'm missing like exact dates, and I'm sure one of your subscribers is gonna jump on me for that. No, Gargano and Ciampa showed up, but the point is they let them keep their dates, which is really cool. But it was a little earlier than people thought it was going to be. I know a lot of people thought it was going to happen Monday night. I was almost at tomorrow night, but it'll be tonight now or in about a half hour. They said it goes up 7:30. So yeah, it'd be.
Yep.
A lot of people thought it was going to be Monday night or tonight that it happened. I mean, you knew it was going to happen sooner than later because of just certain things. Like there's only one company that won't let you sell your own merch, and obviously they took their all their online stores down earlier last week. I think it was something like that. That was probably the biggest tip off, but even then it was still such a huge holy crap moment. I never saw it coming. And like you things, but like show up. I never thought it was going to be in the ladder match. And shame on me for not seeing it coming, but it was. There were a lot of surprises in either match. Certain things happened. I was really
Myself as well. That's obviously a great thing to see that the Hardys who basically have recreated their image within the span of a year have now thrust themselves back into the best spotlight available for them. Yes, they could have made a nice living indeed out in the independent scene with Ring of Honor and also, going to Japan, Mexico, Europe, what have you. But it's always nice to see when you have something that really works, it's going to be given a chance to put it on the biggest spotlight available. Now, I want to ask you real quick, your thoughts on maybe the match that may not have met up to the expectations, and one that outside of the women's match really surprised you and exceeded your expectations.
I like how you had to put that caveat in because you knew what the answer was going to be.
Well, you had pretty much hinted to that earlier, so I wanted to make sure and clarify that before you.
Right. I think going into it, a lot of people thought Austin Aries and Neville was going to steal the show. And I kind of thought they were going to too. That's not to say I'm disappointed in what they did. They had a fantastic match. It looked like Austin Aries damn near died on that suplex. Jesus Christ. But as far as disappointments, man, it wasn't think something completely opposite of what I actually mean here when I say this match, but the Randy Orton Bray Wyatt match was just disappointing, and it had nothing to do with the worms and the maggots and the mind games. I thought all that stuff was really cool. I thought that was some next level stuff. That's stuff that they've been trying with Wyatt, and I really liked it. I enjoyed it. As a fan, Randy Orton winning that match kind of left a sour taste in my mouth and left me scratching my head a bit because I don't know what's coming next, and that's not why it left the sour taste in my mouth. I like being left in suspense and everything, but it didn't. And I want to see how it makes sense. Now, in the grand scheme of things, with the whole revenge angle and everything, Orton winning does make sense. But the way it ended, as quickly as it ended, and the fact that Randy Orton's the champion now, it's all just a bit of a head scratcher. Is it like, okay, what now? Like, I really.
Well, the match was short. I'll give you that, and you you and I, as experienced fans, know that Randy Orton has a lot of talent.
Yeah,
He's
Orton's
been given
amazing.
he is amazing. He's had a lot. He has a lot of talent. He brings a lot to the table. But every time he's been given the opportunity to take a run at a championship, he's never really moved the needle, in my opinion, and a lot of other opinions as far as people who have understood the industry as maybe from a a plus minus business sense standpoint.
Yeah,
He's not. It's not that he's done too bad. It's just that he's never really just generated enough behind him, either as a heel or a face, a good guy or a bad guy, either which way. So it's just that
he
he's
doesn't have the gravity
no. He has a
of
talent, but he's just that he's there, and people know that he's always deserving of a at or a near the top spot. But when he has that top spot and he's given that opportunity, it just never seems to take it hold of it 100%.
he's like Jay Cutler without the sourpuss.
Very good comparison
You
indeed.
know, Jay Cutler's got the skill and everything, but there's just something missing that it doesn't put him over the top.
Exactly, because he's never able to really connect with the fans 100%. Connect with the fans 100%. He cannot cut that killer promo, and he cannot, but he can cut a promo. He just can't cut that. Take it. He can never take it to that next level. And
Mhm.
the decision to take the title off of Bray Wyatt so soon, I understand the reasoning like you behind it, but I'm not sure I'm keen with it. And I was
Yeah,
hoping. I mentioned when I was in our WrestleMania preview on Friday, I had mentioned that I think Bray Wyatt's championship run came 2 years too late, and it appears to me that maybe WWE is in that same line of thinking that maybe they should have placed the belt on him when he was a little bit hotter when he's really hot a couple years ago.
right.
But I wanted one last thing before we head on out, and obviously give you a chance to tell everybody what you're up to. Overall, what do you see going forward for the WWE as far as for the rest of the year? Your thoughts on is where, because WWE the WrestleMania, let's put it this way, WrestleMania is the placeholder for the entire year, and now
Right.
kicks off a new season for the WWE on where they are going in the future. Obviously, Roman Reigns getting that win over the Undertaker is a big step in his career, and obviously that's going to be key going forward for him, main eventing maybe even next year. But your thoughts on the WWE as a whole as it goes forward? It was kind of disappointing. I didn't see Samoa Joe or Finn Balor. Samoa Joe was rumored to be was going to be interfering possibly in the match between Triple H and also Seth Rollins, which Seth Rollins won. But I'm sure there's big plans for them going forward as well. But your thoughts for the WWE going forward after WrestleMania 33 and their outlook for the rest of the year?
Um, I think that the real start of the new season is Monday Night Raw, whereas WrestleMania is like the Super Bowl, the World Series, the championship night, and everything. But since there's no off season, the next season just starts the next day. Um,
Yes, and that's where next,
yeah,
tomorrow night, or excuse me, I'm sorry, Monday night after the WrestleMania, you will see a lot of debuts, a lot of programs that are moving in a different direction, things of that nature.
right.
And that, like you said, that is basically the start, the kickoff of a new season. So, what do you foresee going forward for the WWE from this point?
Um, they're definitely it's gonna be Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns at SummerSlam. I don't see any way that it's not unless they do it earlier, but they're not going to do it earlier. SummerSlam is their next big show. That's going to be their marquee matchup is going to be Reigns versus Lesnar. Other than that, I'm really interested to see who they call up tonight now. I think Nakamura definitely gets the call up. It's it's probably too early for anyone else other than maybe Asuka, and I think they probably bring her. They probably bring her in and send her right into a program with Bailey. Um, it's always kind of weird. I never I never like playing the prognostication game with WWE because they know most of the time what most of the fans are thinking and how they're going to swerve it. And they've made me look wrong so many times when I'm like, oh, this is what's gonna happen. They made me look wrong probably like half the time tonight, which I'm glad, but at the same time, I don't want to say, oh, this is what they're going to do. But going to be a huge focus on Reigns and Lesnar. Nakamura is definitely going to make some pretty big waves here, and it's going to start Monday night. I thought for certain that they were going to bring Balor into the Triple H Seth Rollins match somehow, maybe as a way to stymie Joe or something. So, but it's that didn't get used that weren't part of WrestleMania that are going to be a very big part of WWE's 2017 spring at the very least. Finn Balor has a title to come back after that he's never lost, and he's been wrestling house shows for a couple weeks now, so he's probably going to come back Monday night. Shinsuke Nakamura is going to be coming, and if they choose to acknowledge his history with Brock Lesnar from Japan and the fact that they're lifting buddies, they have such a gold mine there with Nakamura versus Lesnar that if they tapped into it, it could be it could be shattering. And they might tap into it. That'd be great. I would love to be wrong about Reigns versus Lesnar, but when you have Reigns taking out the biggest guy and sending him into retirement, it's pretty obvious what the next at least 6 months of WWE is going to focus on Monday Night Raw.
Fair enough indeed. Well, Joe, it's been a great pleasure talking to you here. But before we go, where can they get a hold of everything that's going on in your life in regards to professional wrestling, whether it's PHX, whether it's Arizona, or whether it's the United Wrestling Federation?
Man, there's a few different places they can find it. Arizona Wrestling Federation on Facebook or YouTube.com/Arizona Wrestling page for AWF. There's always new stuff going up. You can find the United Wrestling Network on the Fight app. You can at least find Championship Wrestling from Hollywood on the Fight app. Right now, the only way to see Championship Wrestling from Arizona outside the Tucson area is to go to CWFA's Facebook right now, Championship Wrestling from Arizona. They actually did a marathon over the weekend of everything that's aired up to now, so you can watch it on that. You can watch it on those giant 4-hour videos and pick and choose. They're also going to be debuting new episodes every Sunday morning at 10 a.m. on the Facebook for at least the next few weeks. So Facebook.com/Championship Wrestling from Arizona for that, or follow United Wrestling Network on Twitter. But the big one, the one I'm really proud of, and is PHX Wrestling. You can find that on Facebook, PHX Wrestling. You can go to phxwrestling.com. We've got a show coming up May 6th at the Nile Theater. That's in downtown Mesa, Arizona, in the Phoenix area. We got a really good card. A lot of guys you're familiar with are going to be there. Funny Bone is in our main event against the Hawaiian Lion. I don't want to go into too much of the card now that I'm thinking, but Funny Bone's going to be there. I believe Jace Battle is going to be there. Nick Bugatti. I shouldn't say I believe. I know he's going to be there. I'm helping put the damn thing together. But we're going to have a lot of guys you're familiar with, some guys that maybe you're not familiar with. We've got 2 or 3 shows. We've got 2 shows in the can. We're going to be releasing the videos from those here pretty soon. phxwrestling.com. You can get tickets May 6th, Arizona, Nile Theater. Front row might already be sold out by the time you get this. We did have a few left over the weekend, but those are going fast, so please pick those up. Don't think you're going to get them the day of the show. Otherwise, follow us on Twitter. You can find me on Twitter at JA I'm not as active as I should be, but I'm trying to be more active. But yeah, PHX Wrestling, United Wrestling Network, Championship Wrestling from Arizona and Hollywood, and Arizona Wrestling Federation, Unleashed Wrestling. That's I'm here right now, I think.
Fair enough, indeed. That's a lot of places where you can find Joe Vernola, one of the big time voices in professional wrestling, right here on the West Coast. He is the man in the know in regards to professional wrestling for us here at the Pop Culture Cosmos. We are truly appreciative of your time, Joe. Once again, it's great to talk to you. It's been a while. And hopefully we'll be able to talk again real soon about everything going on in the world of professional wrestling or sports entertainment, as they like to say in the WWE.
Sports entertainment, pro wrestling, whatever you want to call it. Whenever you want to bring me in, I'd love to come on.
Awesome.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, and indeed. And it's awesome to again have you here as part of the Pop Culture Cosmos. I want to thank you for listening, everyone. It's Joe Vernola right here on the Pop Culture Cosmos.